June 8, 2021. Good evening, televiewers, and welcome to our English Prime Newscast over Camdis Television. We begin right away with our headlines. The Speaker of the House of Assembly has reiterated that the Anglophone problem is a major concern. He made the statement this morning during the opening of June 2021 of Parliament. The population of Cholere municipality have received material and financial support from governments in collaboration with the United Nations Development Programme in a bid to ameliorate the living conditions of the population in that part of the country. The leader of the Boko Haram jihadist group terrorizing Nigeria, Cameroon, the Democratic Republic of Congo, Chad, has been announced dead during a voice recording. Those were all for the headlines. You're welcome back. If you are just joining, you're watching the English newscast over Camdis Television. The Speaker of the National Assembly, Kamer, has called on lawmakers to contribute massively to the June parliamentary session. He made this during a cheering opening ceremony at the Yaoundé Conference Center. Bertrand Tita has details in the following report.
Our College of Ministers, led by the Prime Minister, Head of Government, Chief Dr. Joseph Diongote, members of the Diplomatic Corps, other state dignitaries, foreign diplomats took part in the opening plenary session of Parliament this Tuesday, June 8, 2021, at the Conference Center, their temporary venue. During the opening plenary, members of the National Assembly observed a minute of silence in honor of two of their colleagues taken by the cold hands of death, Deputy Speaker Emilia Mojowa-Lifaka and Honorable Ngo Yedna. The Speaker of the National Assembly, Honorable Kavayege Jibril, saluted the initiative of the Minister of Territorial Administration, Paul Atanganje, for the initiative to mitigate the circulation of automatic firearms in the country.
Some preoccupations. And these preoccupations were also echoed by the Speaker of the National Assembly. These are the concern the COVID-19 pandemic and the crisis which is still prevalent in the northwest and southwest regions. It is time we start sitting to see the way forward. First of all, this COVID-19 issue is something that we want to know how far the preventive measures are reaching the population, especially the most vulnerable populations.
The Speaker also extended welcome words to delegates who are in Cameroon for the Handball African Cup of Nations. Holding in the very difficult context of the ravaging pandemic, this plenary sitting will focus on debates on the orientation of budget, children's parliament, special plenary sittings on the issues of national interest, not leaving out exchanges and briefing session for general committees.
We start thinking of an end to this crisis which is ravaging the lives of Cameroonians and our economy. I think these are my preoccupations, and those are the worries that I want to see being addressed during this June session.
The Speaker has called on the lawmakers to wait patiently for the legislative arms of the government to do its work regarding the investigation on the misappropriation of COVID-19 funds.
Welcome back. The Speaker of the National Assembly has reiterated that the Anglophone problem is very serious and needs to be taken into consideration. He made this statement while presiding over the plenary session in Yaoundé today. The problem is, why was this problem not posed in Parliament before now? Tabby Clarkson, in his comments, made this clear.
The June session of Parliament for the 2021 legislative year has opened with a reminder that the Anglophone problem continues to be of a major priority to Yaoundé authorities. 2016-2021, 5 years now that the crisis has brought untold hardship to the people of the northwest and southwest regions. Speaking this Tuesday during the opening of the June session, Honorable Kavayege Jibril did not fail to say the Anglophone crisis was important, just like the fight against the COVID-19 pandemic. The Speaker of the House recognizes the problem as a major issue, but why 5 years after, it is yet to be addressed in Parliament. The People's House, despite several calls from the main opposition political party, the SDF. A national dialogue has been organized. Resolutions taken yet not applied. President Paul Biya has created a commission for bilingualism and multiculturalism in an attempt to solve the crisis. Officials have gone down to Boya and Bamenda, still no positive results. Is it not time for the people's representatives, the MPs, to table the issue in the People's House, which is the National Assembly? Should parliamentarians continue to wait for more destructions, more killings, more kidnappings, more sufferings before addressing an issue which is no longer an Anglophone but a Cameroonian problem? For how long should we wait, honorable parliamentarians?
Cameroonians have joined the international community to celebrate the Environment Day. The Minister of Environment, Nature, Protection and Sustainable Development, Pierre Hele, dwelled on how to recover the ecosystem. Kolelum was present during this meeting and brought back this report.
The Minister of the Environment, Nature, Protection and Sustainable Development, Hele Pierre, has in a conference at his ministry focused on the restoration of ecosystem, its importance on man and animals. Minister Hele Pierre dished out some measures in the preservation of the ecosystem in Cameroon, what still needs to be done, and what has already been implemented in this restoration process.
You have no right to degrade the forest and landscape. And now what we are doing is to plant trees on certain space like in far north or Anglophone, and anywhere we are trying to do something because we are obliged to do it because our life depends on this conservation.
The Secretary General at the Ministry of the Environment, Nature Protection and Sustainable Development expatiated on the basis of the ecosystem.
Forest exploitation, if nothing is done to restore ecosystem, in the coming years you will run into serious difficulties because these resources are not renewable. So then, if we come to the benefit we could have by restoring.
Therefore, if these measures are implemented, the environment will be well protected in Cameroon in the days ahead.
The National Platform on Climate Change of Society has been at the center of discussion at the Ministry of Forestry and Wildlife. The ceremony was chaired by the Minister of Forestry and Wildlife, Jules Joret Ndongo. Korlelu once more in the following report.
At the Ministry of Forestry and Wildlife, in a solemn note handed over ceremony position of the organization of the company SIGIF in the French acronym. These companies, in the name of the European Union and home-based companies, tendered details of their companies to the ministry. Participants of these companies presented their different art as representatives from different regions of the country regarding forestry.
By the civil society organizations to understand what SIGIF do, and we did it, and we realized that is an application that helps the government to have a mastery of the management of the forest resources.
Goal of this session is to preserve and ameliorate wood in Cameroon. The Minister of Wildlife, Jules Joret Ndongo, expatiated on how to preserve wood in the country.
This is a ceremony initiated by our friends from civil society organizations. They are in their role to follow up relationships between our country and our partners, and to make sure that what we are putting in place will be useful for our country. So concerning the situation with CGF2, they asked me to put up a session of demonstration. What I did at Colbison.
Wood is a vital economic booster in Cameroon, and there is optimism that this sector would witness a positive change after the ceremony.
In our cover short, the prices of passport have drastically increased in the country. The cost went progressively from 30,000 francs CFA to 50,000 francs CFA, then to 75,000 last January 2016, and 5 years later, it increases to 110,000 francs CFA. The last increase was attributed to the need to provide government with the necessary means to modernize and make the travel and identification documents more secured. The new fee of 110,000 francs CFA is 3 times more expensive as compared to the one in West African countries, including Ivory Coast and Togo, where 30,000 and 40,000 a passport is issued in 2 weeks. And now, with the population of Cholere municipality have received financial and material support from government in collaboration with the United Nations Development Program. The mayor in that part of the country says these gifts will go a long way to ameliorate the living conditions of the population in that part of the country. Let's have more in this report.
The mayor of the Cholere Council in the North region of Cameroon, Awudu Lawane, has launched a fight against basic poverty in his municipality. The campaign that is to ensure resilience and economic viability of the population is in collaboration with the Ministry of Economy, Planning and Regional Development and the United Nations Program for Development. In this light, 5 young inventors and other 7 common initiative groups received technical equipment assistance from the government.
Plusieurs jeunes ici présents ont bénéficié d'équipements multiformes et multifonctionnels.
The extreme poverty in the Cholere municipality can be attributed to the difficult economic situation which we find ourselves in, and our population has therefore become very vulnerable in the rural areas. In response to this, the Cameroon government has worked hand in glove with her collaborators to combat the poverty situation. This was done by creating diverse programs to help the population get better and live better lives. Notably, the youths and the women most especially will benefit from these programs to alleviate poverty level. The government of Cameroon, in synergy with the United Nations program, are bent on accompanying the local population for their financial and economic growth.
Serene is the word to use to describe examination centers in Yaoundé and throughout the nation's capital. These students are doing their best to put in more effort so as to write and be successful for the year 2020-2021 examination school year. This is going on as the lecturers, this is going on as examiners and students are putting on their marks while respecting strict barrier measures that has been put in place by the government to curb the spread of COVID-19 that has been claiming more lives in the country. Ruth Fonyo has details in the following report.
Examination class students in Cameroon schools began writing the exams this June 7th for some, and others began with a practical session. Many examiners and candidates do all these activities in the respect of the COVID-19 barrier measures.
All the measures taken, those which were taken by the ministry last session, these measures have been reinforced by all the material that the minister provided all the centers, so that these measures can be taken by all the examiners and all the candidates.
The Ministry of Secondary Education has provided some basic materials for the fight against the coronavirus pandemic during this period.
The ministry has provided us of soap, of buckets and masks, so that if a candidate forgets his mask when he comes to the center, we can give him one mask so that he runs his exam with all the confidence possible.
Some of the subjects that are written for the general back technique constitute secretariat, among others.
In various trades, in industrial techniques, we have fashion, clothing and textile. In TST section, we have accountancy, secretaryship, marketing, economic science, and home economics, and even tourism too.
The examinations have started in a serene atmosphere, and examiners have taken all the necessary dispositions so that there will be no fraud and cases of COVID-19 after the examination period.
The President of the Upper House of Assembly, Honorable Senator Nyat Jifenji, has called on government to continue sensitizing the population to receive their vaccines against COVID-19. Good evening, Bertrand Tita. We want to find out what is happening in that part of the conference.
Good evening to you, Anne Omeko. Good evening, televiewers, and thanks for joining us live at the conference center in Yaoundé, the temporary venue for lawmakers. The opening session of the June plenary sitting for the Upper House of Assembly just took place this evening at the conference center here, chaired by the President of the Upper House of Assembly, Senator Nyat Jifenji. And opening the session, the senators observed a minute of silence for the fallen heroes, especially their patron, Senator Victor Mukete, and not leaving out the former Prime Minister Achidi Achu, who have been called to eternal glory. In his opening address, he did not fail to address the issue of the ravaging pandemic, calling on the government to continue with sensitization so that Cameroonians can get vaccinated. The pandemic equally has slowed down activities in the country. The president did not fail to call on the Cameroonians to keep on respecting barrier measures. The issue of security, especially in the northwest, southwest, and the far north region of the country, will equally preoccupy the minds of senators in this plenary sitting. And it should never be forgotten that this plenary sitting for the month of June will equally be analyzing the budget of the 2021, among other issues that will be addressed from the different committees in the Upper House of Assembly. For Camdis Television, I am Nuganga Bertrand Tita, Black Elomo, and
we now move over to the north, where hygiene, sanitation and beautification campaign for the district of municipality of Garoua 2 has kicked off. This was an initiative of the Ministry of Housing and Urban Development. The youth in that part of the country came out massively to make their own site very clean. This is a report from Juratin Nasi.
We are at a place called Carrefour Takasco in Garoua. With a machete in hand, the mayor of Garoua 2 District Municipality Council is rather hard at work under the blazing sun. With seriousness and determination, he burnt a tree while the young people mobilized to this site were busy weeding, supported in the work by the other members of the municipal executive, who proved to them, as well as the good local elected officials, are those who put themselves at the service of their community. This action marked the official launch of the hygiene, sanitation and beautification campaign for the district municipality of Garoua 2. This Monday, 7 June, as part of the National Clean Cities competition.
We have put out people in the field. They are working hard and marvelously. As you can see, everywhere in the municipality is clean. We are looking forward to win this competition at the level of the municipality and at the same time regional in order to attain the national level.
Equipped with wheelbarrows, hose, machetes and boots, more than 50 young people will go for 18 days to clear the gutters, the whitewashing of crossroads and avenues, the sweeping of the streets and weeding. An operation that targets nearly 20 neighborhoods located in the urban area of the town. Beyond the competition, this operation will allow both the transformation of the behavior of the population and the sanitation of the town. The National Clean Cities Competition is an initiative of the Ministry of Housing and Urban Development. It puts all the districts of the North region in competition with each other and other regions of the National Triangle on basis of specific criteria of cleanliness, waste management, hygiene, among others. The Garwa 2 district municipality is therefore determined to emerge the winner of the cleanest city in Cameroon this year.
Violence is a behavior intended to disturb or affect somebody physically or psychologically. In our society, women have proven to be victims of this. Kolelu spoke to some Yaoundé city dwellers on to know what could be accountable to this phenomenon. Let's watch.
Most of them, they don't want to leave their children behind. That's why most of them, they persevere. The perseverance they have is because of their children. They just want to stay there so that their children will not be like, if they grow up with just one parent. But sometimes they themselves, the women, just the way they speak or the way they treat their husband or the advice they have from other women outside cause them to have a broken home, which is not correct. So as us women today, we have to be very careful. The people we interact with them, the way we say things about our home outside.
The lack of dialogue, you see. Because I hope that I think that when a man cannot speak, cannot have peace in his family, since he is the main actor. The main actor concerning education, concerning stability in his home, I think things cannot be better. Men like us should stop beating their wife. Man should, let's say, implement dialogue, yes, in his own home.
My point of view, violence against women is not nice, but at times the men are forced to. Because I believe a man who is violent, there are certain aspects that cause him to be violent. So at times it also depends on the behavior of a woman. Even though the actions are not nice, because I believe interaction and communication. At times when a man comes back home, maybe drunk, and meets the wife at home, the wife is maybe tired from the chores and the work during the day, and maybe the man demands for sex, and the man will be forced maybe to brutalize the way.
In our sports page, the 24th edition of Female Handball African Nations Cup has opened in Yaoundé. The 11 teams have been presented at the Yaoundé Sports Multipurpose Sport Complex. Stephen Elangwe is there and tell us what is happening at this particular moment.
Good evening, Anumeko. We are live at the Yaoundé Multipurpose Sports Complex, and we are talking about the 24th edition of the Female Senior Handball Championship that is taking place in Cameroon between the 8th to the 18th of June. And certainly today we are at the opening ceremony, which the President of the Republic, Paul Biya, has been personally represented by the Minister of State Property and Land Tenure, Minister Henry Eyebe Aisi. In this opening ceremony, we also had young Cameroonians who came and displayed with the 11 flags of the countries that are taking part in this competition. We should also note that earlier today at 2 p.m. there was a match between Democratic Republic of Congo and Nigeria, which the Democratic Republic of Congo emerged the winner. And certainly now we are looking up to the match between Cameroon and Kenya that will serve as the first match in this particular competition. For Camdis Television, I have been Elangwe Steven and Eme Mukoko.
We now move out of the country where the jihadis Boko Haram leader group terrorizing Cameroon, Nigeria, Congo have been declared dead. The announcement was done through a video voice recording indicating that the terrorist has been dead through an explosive. Bertrand Tita has details in the following report.
The death of the leader of the Boko Haram jihadist group, Abubakar Shekau, has been announced in an audio recording said to be the voice of the leader of Rahman Group Islamic State West African Province, ISWAP, Abdulsar al-Bahami. According to the audio recording, Abubakar Shekau died by detonating himself through explosive after a battle between the two groups. The report of his demise emerged 2 weeks ago and has now been confirmed by the leader of ISWAP. Fighters of the Islamic group of the West African province have been hunting the warlord, asking him to repent and join them. The leader of the Boko Haram jihadist group has been reported dead several times before only to resurface. Abubakar Shekau took over the leadership of Boko Haram in 2009 after its leader died in police custody. He transformed the group into an underground sect to a deadly insurgency that has swept across northeast Nigeria, Cameroon, Chad and Niger. His agenda was to create an Islamic state under Sharia law. Since he took over the leadership of Boko Haram, more than 30,000 people have been killed and over 2 million persons displaced from their homes.
Ladies and gentlemen, we have come to the end of our 6 p.m. English newscast over Camdis Television. But before we say goodbye, here are the headlines. The Speaker of House of Assembly has reiterated that the Anglophone problem is of major concern. He made the statement this morning during the opening of the June 2021 session of Parliament. The population of Cholere municipality have received material and financial support from the government in collaboration with the United Nations Development Programme in a bid to ameliorate the living conditions of the population in that part of the country. The leader of the Boko Haram jihadist group terrorizing Nigeria, Cameroon, the Democratic Republic of Congo, Chad Basin has been announced dead during a voice recording. Ladies and gentlemen, we want to say thank you for being there and stay tuned to more interesting programs over Camdis Television. Have a blessed evening.